Let's take a look at exercise 11-16 found on page 556 of your textbook. It says here on June 30th, Dogwood Limited issues 8% 20-year bonds payable with a maturity value of $130,000. The bonds sell at 94 and pay interest on June 30th and December 31st. Dogwood amortizes bond discount by the straight line method. Our two requirements are to journalize the issuance of the bond on June 30th and to journalize the semi-annual interest payment and amortization of bond discount on December 31st. So let's start with the issuance of the bonds. The first thing we need to determine is how much cash do we get from those bondholders. And to do that, we know that the value of the bonds was the maturity value of the bonds. That means the amount that we're going to have to pay back is $130,000. But we didn't issue them for $130,000. They were actually sold at a discount. So that means we're going to have $130,000 times 94%. We do that to figure out how much cash we got from the bondholders. And we got $122,200. So we have cash of $122,200. And now I'm going to drop down a couple lines and I'm going to put in the amount of the bonds payable. Because we know that that's a credit, that's a liability, a long-term liability that we are going to have to pay back. And then this amount is the discount on bonds payable. It's the difference between the maturity value of the bonds and the amount of cash that we received. And it is $7,800. Let me make this a bit bigger there. Okay. So I'm just going to say record issuance of bonds. All right. Now, our second requirement is to journalize the semi-annual interest payment and the amortization of the bond discount. Okay. So, on 12/31. Let's go back over to where we're going to do some calculating. To figure out the interest payment, we're going to take the maturity value of the bonds times the interest rate times 6/12. And we do 6/12 because these are semi-annual payments. So that's $5,200. That is the interest payment that we are going to pay to our bondholders. What I'm going to do here is type in my credit first. So this is where I always start with my interest payments because I know that that is what I need to pay back to my bondholders. Then I'm going to have another credit, discount on bonds payable. And how I'm going to figure out the discount is I know I have the discount on bonds payable of $7,800. And I'm going to amortize that. So that means that over the span of 20 years with semi-annual interest payments, I'm going to amortize or spread out that $7,800 over 40 periods. 2 times 20, semi-annual periods. Excuse me. So that means every time I make an interest payment, I'm also going to amortize that discount on bonds payable in the amount of $195. And then my interest expense is the total of the cash that I'm going to pay for that interest payment of $5,200 plus my discount on my bonds payable. So what I have here is total interest expense. I have my discount on bonds payable, which I calculated by taking $7,800 and dividing it by 40 periods, 20 years times 2. And then here's my cash payment, which represents interest paid to the bondholders at the maturity value of the bonds, $130,000 times 8%, the stated interest rate, times 6/12, which represents half a year.